Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Flying and Eating. Today, let's go somewhere and do something, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey guys, it's Adam here. On the previous episode of Flying and Eating, we made our way out to the U.S. Virgin Islands. We went over to the island of St. Thomas and St. John, then back to St. Thomas, and that's where we are now. We're going to continue on our adventure and then make our way to the British Virgin Islands.
All right, I used the car. I wanted to show you guys something. This is called Drake's Seat. Not to be confused with the Canadian... Dude, isn't he a pedo now or something? Bad jokes aside, this is a beautiful viewpoint that Google Maps highly recommended. Completely inaccessible without a car. Trust me, even with a car, it was a huge pain. But just an incredible view, and I know I'm not alone. There's just tons of people just constantly looking around. Like, look at that lagoon view. That's fantastic. If you turn around from that point and go there, you'll see that bench. That actually is Drake's Seat. At least that's what it's called. Where you're supposed to just sit there and just kind of enjoy the view. See, the Drake Seat. This is where you're supposed to be. That way you have a bar in front of your view. Why would you do this? Standing up is far superior.
See, out in the distance, you can actually see a bunch of different little islands. Those are all part of the U.S. Virgin Islands, but I don't think any of them are populated, or if they are, they're very... scant. Maybe private islands. I think private islands down here is kind of a thing.
So I was doing a little more reading, right? This island strip here, this land, is the wealthiest part of the entirety of the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's where any rich person that has a house in the U.S. Virgin Islands is. And to that end, apparently right around over there, I'm not sure which one exactly, Michael Jordan's house is over there. Apparently Michael Jackson's estate has a house over there, and Michael Jordan also bought a bunch of his relatives' houses. And yes, I did say Michael Jackson's estate. There's Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. Obviously Michael Jackson is deceased, but I guess he owned a house over there. But yeah, Michael Jordan's house right around there-ish. I guess I could technically drive out there, but I wouldn't really feel comfortable doing that. All right, another little sightseeing bit. I am now at Charlotte Amalie Lookout, and that is my view. Phenomenal. So that's the section known as Charlotte Amalie. If you're ever out here, this like squared building, that's my hotel. And the red roof building right above it, that's like the boat pier, like where you would take like ferries to other places. Like your most touristy populated area is that section. So like the French Quarter and stuff's over there. And yeah, you know, hotels, ritzy stuff, fancy areas, government buildings are over there. And it's just an incredible lookout. You can just enjoy it, this wonderful view, and you get a scene of some of these other smaller islands that are next to St. Thomas that, as you can see, have houses on them. They are populated, and they have their own little resorts and private matters. Some of these islands, I was actually looking into it, like some of the ones over there on the Drake side are actually for sale. Like $27 million gets you your own island. Yeah, that guy likes that. But yeah, beautiful view. If you want another really good view, I showed you guys this in a video a few years ago. At the bottom, you see this, like, I'll put it in the center there, that blue area. There's like a trolley system or a cable car system that takes you up to that point around there, and you have a really good view looking down. Same area, just from a totally different angle than what we're looking at right now. I gotta say, I've been very happy with the weather on this trip. I was kind of expecting it to be upwards of like almost 40 Celsius, but it's only been like 28, which is amazing. It's been bright, but a little overcast, as you can see. So it's not like pounding down on you. There's been a nice breeze. I was really expecting it to be a lot hotter this time of year, so I'm really glad it's not. It has been paradise. I gotta say, at certain points on this trip, particularly yesterday, the logistics of getting to St. John and trying to get over to Oppenheimer Beach was kind of stressful. I didn't enjoy that so much just because whatever. But being St. Thomas, it's a lot easier. Like, if you come down here, St. Thomas, as I was saying before, is kind of the transient island. It's the one you use kind of as a hub to go to the others. Personally, I prefer it over St. John. I mean, I think with St. John, if you have a lot of money and a yacht, it's probably better in that regard. But just for an average person, I think this is kind of the way to go. Then again, St. Croix I enjoyed, but I was only there for a day. Getting to St. Croix is like, I think you might be able to see St. Croix way the hell out there. But yeah, it's not exactly super close, and this is not a part of the country they're ever going to build bridges on. If they were going to do that, it would have been between St. Thomas and St. John already. St. Croix is way too far for that. So either way, yeah, I'm just trying to make the point that I feel good. I feel at peace out here. I'm liking it, as I tend to do with a lot of these U.S. treasures that most Americans just never go to see. And I really wish that would change. I wish more people would see it and more people would understand, like, these are your fellow Americans. Like, I do personally believe in the resolution of statehood here. I believe that would be a complicated process, but it would be nice if all the territories, let's just say, got sorted out. One more thing before we leave this area, I want to give you guys some geographic bearings. So we'd be facing south, and vaguely out there you might see it. That I believe that's St. Croix. St. John would be that way. You can't see it from here, but it'd be the other island that way. And then out here, if you see there's an island in the distance, that's, I believe, some of Puerto Rico's easternmost islands. Puerto Rico also, of course, another U.S. territory. So this whole section of the Caribbean is basically U.S. soil until you cross into the British Virgin Islands, which we will do tomorrow. So what's the plan now? Not McDonald's. No. The other Kmart. Why not? Quick little survey shot. This one seems to be more normal. It has less of a warehouse type vibe. I'm not sure what it used to be or if it was always this, but there's even a downstairs section. Dude, marijuana soda. Made with horny goat weed. Okie dokie. I just checked. They're from Barbados. That makes a lot of sense. Upstairs section's kind of lame, but downstairs we got much better stuff. So I'm going to explore more of the food items. I guess this coffee is from the Dominican Republic. See, what we're kind of looking for, guys, is stuff that, I mean, most of it's going to be American stuff. Makes sense, we're in America. But because of being a territory, because of geography, sometimes you end up with oddity stuff that you don't normally see on the mainland. This is a perfect example of it. I don't think I've ever seen Dominican Republic coffee, at least not like just on a store shelf like this. So that's cool. Not going to buy it, but it's cool. I guess this counts. I looked at these and this. This is like a hazelnut spread type thing, kind of like Nutella, but from Colombia. And this is just like some suckers. Not super interesting, to be honest. Good morning. It's day, I don't know, 4? I have no idea. Airport's over there. Car rentals behind me. Am I going home? No. Actually, so I rented the car. I only had it for a couple days while I knew it was going to be on St. Thomas and St. John. So that was always part of the plan. And I had to gas it up, as you do with rental cars. Now, interestingly, I guess I'm just learning this, or it was a coincidence. There are certain parts of the United States that, Oregon and New Jersey specifically, that require that you not gas up your own car. You pull up, and a 10D will do it for you. Often only credit is those two are the only parts of the U.S. that do that. Fun fact, also the CNMI, another U.S. territory, like Saipan, Tinian, that stuff, they do that as well. The U.S. Virgin Islands, I guess, does that because the guy wanted to fill the car up for me. It wasn't like a tip thing. It was just, we do this. And I don't know if it was that gas station or if it was the whole thing because I've never seen anybody do that. When I once rented a car in St. Croix, that wasn't a thing. So I don't know, but whatever. Now, what's going on? Unfortunately, I have to walk all the way back into town, which will take me about an hour, but I've prepped as much as possible. Wearing the same blue dirty shirt I was the other day because it doesn't absorb as much sunlight and I know it's going to get drenched in sweat. I have a bottle of water, I've got music, I'll be fine. I've done this walk before, but that's what's going on right now. For the record, the car rental company was totally willing to drive me over to the airport, but that wouldn't do me any favors because you can kind of see the airport is kind of like a centerpiece and there's this road that just kind of weaves around it. So either way, I'd have the same length of a walk. So it wouldn't do me any good to do that. Something just hit me in the face. Oh, that's called sweat. You might be wondering, well, why didn't you just grab an Uber or a cab or something? Uber doesn't exist here, annoyingly. Cabs do, but I'm kind of anti-cab because they're typically like, oh, we won't tell you the price till you get there, cash only, like just too many reasons I don't do that. So I wanted to give you guys another update here, or just kind of a reminder, because I forgot to mention this when I got here. If you've never been here before, and you decide, I'm gonna land, I'm gonna turn my phone back on, and it's not working, don't freak out. Something about that airport, it's like a Faraday cage, like signals just do not work. And I was reminded of that just now as I got close to it, my phone just dies. So the further away you get, it suddenly functions fine. You know, my standard Verizon LTE plan works perfectly out here. No additional charges, nothing like that, at least for me. But yeah, anywhere near the airport, huge pain, which is super stressful when you land because you assume it's not going to work. And if you're trying to do anything like let people know you're safe or try to book something or whatever, yeah, not great. I am sweaty, but I found a break. This gas station behind me had ginger beer, this one that I wanted to try, in just one can. It's like the offspring of a 7-Up and a root beer. I like it. It's weird. Never had anything like this. It's got a little bit of a tingle, too, at the end, like ginger should. I don't usually like ginger. This is really good. I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to get this again. I like this. Man, I'm genuinely shocked. I was kind of getting it, if I'm honest with you. Just, you know, cool off a little bit, but also just to try something different for you guys. And then I was probably expecting it to be kind of crappy and just be like, well, whatever. No, this is good. All right, so I just checked out of my hotel. I used the little bit of time I had left to take another shower, refresh, recharge, all that sort of stuff. Now I got a little bit of time before the boat, so I'm gonna go get food. But I don't have the car, obviously, and I don't have a lot of time, relatively speaking. So we're going back to the French Quarter Bistro because it's right there and it's open. So I just came out of there. It was fantastic, as I knew it would be. They're also very cool. Just let me chill for a while because I had to kill some serious time. So what did I have? I had the coconut shrimp as an appetizer. Normally wouldn't bother with an appetizer, but it looked really good. I had the jambalaya, which with shrimp. It's fantastic as well. And then I actually decided to go ahead with a dessert, and I did the bananas fostered bread pudding in like a rum sauce. I know I've had that before. Fantastic. Highly recommend French Quarter Bistro if you're ever down at St. Thomas. All right, I am here at the boat dock. Worth noting, technically, because the U.S. Virgin Islands is just territory and not mainland country, not a state, I should say, it has an exit tax. That exit tax is about $10. It must be paid in cash. So I had to do that just now while I wait for the boat. Also, I know this in advance, the British Virgin Islands also have an exit tax because that's the law of the British. Theirs is $20. And fun fact, the British Virgin Islands official currency, the United States dollar. That's a little weird, but that also has to be paid in cash. So typical rule of thumb down here is have some cash. This is the first time I've absolutely needed it, but it was good to have it. We have officially boarded. Now we wait, it's about an hour. All right, we've come off the boat, and here we go. This is customs. Welcome to the British Virgin Islands. All right, I have officially cleared customs. So here's things you need to know. As an American citizen, just simple tourism thing, I will admit that was a longer customs process and more grilling than pretty much anywhere I've ever been, which is kind of strange for such like a tourist-based location, but whatever. Getting the bag took forever. That was a long process, like tiny little building, maybe like 20, 30 people, took an hour and a half. It was bad. And then you also have to pay an entry fee tax because it is the British. Anywho, we're gonna walk over to the hotel. Look at this place. Pussers Pub, British pub. We'll be checking that out later, I'm sure, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not renting a car. So I'm entirely limited to being on foot. So I intentionally got a hotel that was just right here in Road Town. That's where I'm at. That's the name of this area. And realistically, we're not leaving it. So it's also, because it is British, of course, sunlight is illegal on this soil. So we don't have the sun anymore. When we go back to America, we'll see it again. But yeah, so far very cool. Just for those curious, they use American power outlets, American cars, but they do drive on the left, just like the U.S. Virgin Islands. They seem to have several types of license plates here. They obviously don't declare them as the British Virgin Islands, they just call them the Virgin Islands. That's one of them. And then we have another one that looks like this. Another one that looks like that. There's probably more. That first one's my favorite. Now this license plate I like because it actually has the Union Jack on it. That's cool. Okay, now that one's pretty cool. I like that license plate. Already being here, like, it's cool. I've seen the British Virgin Islands flag. I've only seen once. I'm not gonna lie, there ain't a whole lot of obvious British references here. This ain't like Gibraltar, where that's, you know, the other British territory I've been to, where that feels very British. At least so far, no. To be fair, though, that's not entirely shocking. I mean, Gibraltar is part of Europe, whereas this is not, and I don't think the British government pays it a whole lot of attention. The accent so far that I've noticed would be more in line with, like, Jamaican, which makes sense because Jamaica itself was a British colony at one point. It is bizarre, though, to think that technically I'm in the United Kingdom right now. Very odd. Like, I like my American territories, as you guys know. And being in the British one, like I said, Gibraltar was more obvious. This is very subtle in that regard. And in many ways doesn't feel like it. Again, American cars, American street signs, American outlets. Official currency is USD.
You'll all be happy to know that the Sega Pluto has made it to another British territory. So I'm in my room, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot better than the one I had in St. Thomas. And it cost way less money. Well, they gave me more stuff. I have a mic. Dude, I got a kitchen. Too bad I don't cook, but I've got a little office. I even have a couch. Anyone want to come hang out? You can sleep. You can crash on the couch. I'll crash there. As I said, though, they use the American-style power outlets. Patriotism. And here's a fun one. I don't even agree with it, but it's worth noting. Air conditioning system. They use Fahrenheit. Also, this one's kind of odd, and I want to throw this out there because I think it's very funny. So the air conditioning system, you guys know me. I use Celsius. I'm the only American that does. I hate Fahrenheit. This thing was in Fahrenheit. I had to switch it to Celsius. But downstairs, too, they had everything set in Fahrenheit. I think they use Fahrenheit. These people, you can tell, they want to be Americans, man. That seems to be what they want. Worth noting that if you do this, they give you this little card. It's a QR code. You're supposed to scan this and do the customs form online. I did this, but I didn't do it through this. I had already done it in advance. Many people don't do this, and then you get stopped, and they're like, okay, you have to go to the side, you have to fill it out. Do this stuff. Always do a quick Google search if you need to do one of these stupid forms before you go somewhere. So I obviously haven't been here very long, so it's unreasonable of me to say this, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of British pride. Like, I was walking down there, and at least one guy at, like, a restaurant had the British Virgin Islands flag up, but the reason I bring that up is this is the government headquarters of the British Virgin Islands. There are flagpoles and not a single flag on it. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I don't know, man. Anyway, so I'm gonna explore a little bit. Granted, it's a little late in the day. I can't get over how funny it is that there is no sunlight here. It's a little bit over there, but anywho, we are going to be stereotypical as hell, and we're going to go to a British pub and get some fish and chips in. No one talks like that here, by the way, at least in my experience so far. And I don't expect the food to be very good compared to the UK, but I think since technically that's where we are, live it up. I would like to point out, and I can't say this is the same for all British territories, but Gibraltar and here, these people are British citizens full on. They could live in the UK, just land and live. Much like US citizens, the same deal applies with the exception of American Samoa. I don't know if there's any British territories that are different, but at least this one, full British citizenship. This is actually a good map of Road Town. It's where we are. So this is where we came in on the boat, and we're basically over here right now. That's what all that is. Because I'm limited to being on foot, we're pretty much not going anywhere beyond this. We'll probably go down to this park. It's Queen Victoria Park. There's some grocery stores and things I want to check out. We'll see what sites I can get to. Again, realistically, I am on foot, but we'll give it a shot. So here's a soda I've never seen before. It's called Old Colony. Okay, and I thought that meant it was local. We got a pineapple version and a grape version. Looked on the back. This is from Texas. It's actually made by Dr. Pepper. This brand, Busta, I had never heard of this before. Turns out, the reason for that is it's from Trinidad and Tobago. So I popped into this grocery store. It's called Bobby's Supermarket, real quick, and just grabbed a couple of drinks. They had Cadbury chocolate. I got really curious. So I checked. It is, in fact, the British version, which is funny because it would be so much easier to get the American version, but they're like, no, the British version is better. And they're right about that, by the way. And I say that as someone who, well, Cadbury's now based in Chicago, so we ruined it, sorry. Observation. So in the US Virgin Islands, I'm not going to say this is always the case, but I noticed a lot of people that speak with kind of a almost Hispanic, almost Puerto Rican accent, sort of, which makes sense given its geography. Here it's very much like the Jamaican accent. As you can see, just like the US Virgin Islands and a lot of islands, just random chickens and roosters wandering around. What's up, man? How you doing?
All right, catch you later. Here's where we're going, to Pusser's Pub, part of the, what do they call it, the West Indies Company? I don't know, there's a gift shop and a whole restaurant. Let's do it. This is probably a good opportunity to explore this because they have a map here. So we're here on Tortola. That's the only part we're going to. But as you can see, the British Virgin Islands encompasses a lot of different islands. I don't have enough time or patience for that, but if you do, it's a thing, and you can technically be in the UK. And here's the US border, St. John we showed you earlier. Right there, the narrowest point. That's the border. So I just came out of there. I had the fish and chips, which was the stereotype that you must do, and I knew it going in that it was not going to be as good as one that's actually in the mainland UK. It was fine. It was I did the malt vinegar thing. But here's the funny thing. So like, only been here a matter of hours, but it's clear to me that this place is British only in technicality. Nothing about it is British. I mean, some of the stuff is understandable just due to simple geography, like, you know, the power outlets thing, all that sort of stuff. But it's even like the littler things, like the ketchup is American ketchup, which sounds like that doesn't matter. There is a serious difference, and British would scoff at standard American ketchup because it's very different from what they're used to. It's more sweet and so on and so forth. The malt vinegar, same thing. So I can see that. Here's one, though, that's cultural difference. Most countries on this planet, when you want to pay with a credit card, will bring a little credit card machine to you and have you do it. It's really just the US where you hand them their credit card and they walk away with it, do it, and then come back. Here, that's what they do. So far, the only things I've noticed that make this place British, obviously the legality of a border. We have technically seen the flag a couple of times. We have, you know, just a couple of small little things. But the one that kind of made me laugh, depressingly, in the United States, if you want water with your meal, it's always free. You know, it's tap water, sure, but it's always free. Most other countries, they won't serve you tap water. They want to find an excuse to charge you for bottled water. Guess what happened? So far I'm liking this place, but it seems like it's begging to be American, and it's like one step away from doing it. We don't have a whole lot of time left before it gets dark, and since I'm brand new to this place, I don't really want to get lost, but I kind of want to go explore a little bit over here. Plus I like that view. It's kind of scenic, you know? I like that. Just food for thought. Okay, I've only been to 2 British territories, this and Gibraltar. And there's obviously a lot of them. There's actually more British territories than the US has, just because the remnants of the British Empire. But in just Googling stuff, I've noticed that, like, Bermuda, for example, also doesn't use the Great British Pound. It uses 2 different currencies. One is called the Bermuda dollar, and one is the US dollar. And what is the Bermuda dollar? Token. It's a perfect one-to-one to the US dollar by design, so that they can say they do everything in the Bermuda dollar, but really they're using the US dollar. Haven't been there, but that'll be kind of fun. Where I'm going with this is, and I invite more British people to tell me this and correct me if necessary. In the US, our territories, I haven't been to American Samoa, I've been to all the others, but we tend to try to make all of them feel like America as much as possible. You know, like Subway, McDonald's, Starbucks, whatever. Granted, Starbucks is oddly kind of rare on the territories. We typically put all that stuff around, and then we set up our entire like road network and infrastructure network to seem like Guam just feels like a mountainous version of like Iowa. You know what I mean? Like it's like the whole point. But the British territories, other than, I mean, Gibraltar did. Gibraltar very much felt like the UK, but that makes sense given where it is. I'm just wondering if any of the other British territories act like the British, or if they're just technical remnants. And the second after I say that, I see a roundabout. Okay, that's very British. I guess Transformers Rise of the Beasts was filmed here? Just as the little bit of sunset is left, it's going down. I wanted to show you this marina view. So this is the hotel I'm at, right there. The Village K. It's nice, you know? I like it. I like this. It's pretty sweet.
And that'll do it for part 2. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned to part 3, the final part of this series, in which we continue our adventure around the British Virgin Islands, show you some other stuff, and then make our way back home. But thank you so much. If in the meantime, if you guys do me a favor, please like this video, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't done that before, and check out all the social media stuff in the description: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, etc. I appreciate the support on those platforms. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.